Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your host, Zach. Two quick things before we start this episode because I forgot to put them in the episode. One, last week I wrote an article for meetatmidfield.com, a college football website ran by my friends. It's called the Pat Narduzzi Dilemma. It's basically just I had to get some thoughts out about the current state of Pitt football and the job that Pat Narduzzi is doing. I'd really appreciate it if everyone checked it out. It's free on the website. It was published on May 15th. The link to the article is also pinned to both my personal Twitter and the podcast account. So if you go check it out, just let me know what you thought of it. And two, I do apologize for my mic quality. Something got messed up, but without further ado, let's get to the episode.
Kenny's in trouble. He's going to run. He's going to get the first down.
Don't sleep on those legs. Oh, he faked the slide. Sauce time. The Pitt Panthers have pulled a stunning upset over the West Virginia Mountaineers.
And Johnny Majors gets a ride across the field.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Simplify Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Kaminsky. I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Mason Kling and Kent Vanderwood. Mason, how are we doing tonight?
Feeling good. I feel like it's been a while since we hopped up on here, so we'll have a lot of good things to go over. Excited to get back into everything.
Yes, sir. Kent, how we doing?
Great. Connected to the city, connected to two of my best podcast partners.
Who's the
How are the
They're
how are the Pirates City Connect jerseys looking? I didn't even see anything about them.
Did they even drop them yet?
I will look it up right now because I have no
They
idea.
do them periodically. I don't even know if they have them.
2023. We got a leak that surfaced about a month ago. Not sure I'm feeling these ones. They kind of look like knockoff merch. I'll put it here in the chat.
So
It kind of looks like a shirt you get outside the stadium from one of those stands. I don't know how else to really describe it. Hate the font on the name; it's too thin.
wow. So the Pirates and the Orioles are both the teams might have gotten good, but the everything else is still pretty bad.
Yeah.
They're like, oh no, we're not used to our teams being good. We used to do everything bad. Now,
Wait,
now
people
more
want to
attention on us.
buy these jerseys? What the hell?
I mean, I don't know. Like most of the City Connects are pretty much complete misses. I mean, the worst one I think is still that Boston one. That was just like blue and yellow.
Nah, dude, I like that one. I think the Orioles.
Wasn't that for like the Boston Marathon bombing?
I don't think so. I think it was just a City Connect. Dude,
I'm pretty sure that's like a marathon thing. So.
So you sure you hate them, Zach? Are you sure?
I'm gonna take that one back.
they might, they might mean well, but they're ugly ass jerseys. I'll keep thinking that.
Some of them are fire. The White Sox,
Ugh, this is disgusting. This is awful. I'm sorry.
Padres.
This is also just awful podcasting.
Yeah.
Just
Things you can't see.
opening the show talking about baseball jerseys that there's no visuals for. Welcome to Simplify, baby.
We're getting back into the groove, all right? All right, I guess now that we're back in the groove, let's go over the news, the goddamn news. Let's start off with the so-called Magnificent Seven. You've probably heard about this by now, but it's the 7 teams in the ACC that are actively looking to get out of the conference, get out of the grant of rights. Those 7 teams are Miami, Florida State, Clemson, Virginia Tech, Virginia, North Carolina, and North Carolina State. Looking at the list, notably, Duke is not in this. That's the kind of my first, whoa, Duke's not in it, and also Virginia's in it.
Duke has mid-major written all over them.
Just be sort of a Gonzaga on the East Coast.
Exactly. Exactly. But I totally agree that like Virginia feels off there. Um,
NC State.
NC
They're hanging on to.
they're coattails of Chapel Hill for sure.
Mhm.
Just because they're probably always going to want that rivalry. But yeah, I don't know. It's ACC is not looking so great these days.
Well, okay, so let's get into sort of the meat and potatoes, right? The big holdup among these 7 schools is the current ACC grant of rights, which is what the ACC sells the rights to broadcast their shit to ESPN for. You've probably seen this, but the deal is significantly behind both the Big Ten and the SEC in the amount of money they make. And the previous commissioner of the ACC locked them in until 2036, I believe is the right number. Yeah, 2036. So you have these 7 schools who want more money. But right now, the biggest holdup is trying to break that grant of rights. It's rumored, or I'm not sure if it's confirmed, but you would need 8 schools to completely dissolve that grant of rights. They only have 7. They don't have that 8th school to do that. Now, even if they were to leave early, they'd have to pay $120 million per team when they leave. And then also when they leave, the ACC still has the rights to broadcast your home games. So you aren't making any revenue, or you aren't making any like broadcasting money, which is these programs' main source of income when you leave. And then you're sending all that money to the remaining ACC schools. So it's my opinion that they're not going to leave, at least for the foreseeable future, until that number comes down for that buyout. I'll open the floor.
It feels like they can make a Marvel movie about this Civil War. It's like I don't know. It's like half, because it's basically half and half. I get both sides of it. Like I get why they would want out. But I don't know. I feel like this is going to be one of those things that it's going to be ongoing. You're going to have, like you said, this magnificent 7, and they're just going to keep trying to like, okay, how can we get? It's like passing a bill. Like, how can we just get one more person to get this going? And I feel like it's going to be an ongoing thing for probably until
I would say like the early 2030s, when the money is like somewhat acceptable to get that buyout in. And then
you're going to have to do that balancing act where you don't want to get left in the dust, but you don't want to pay that 120 million or whatever it is. So it's like, all right, who's going to be that first team to cave and make it the 8, the majority that you need to make it happen?
I mean, the other thing is, my thing is, if they were to break apart the ACC grant rights, right? Obviously, ESPN's going to laugh them off when they go, hey, we want to renegotiate our deal to get more money. They're not going to say, yeah, let's pay you more money. No, it's never going to happen. The real question is, if they leave, where do they go? Like, obviously, you have teams that want to join the SEC and would probably want to join the Big Ten, but all the reporting I've seen is that those 2 conferences are like, we're good. We're not going to move on from 16 at this point. Especially, I mean, the Big Ten, their commissioner tried to add Washington and Oregon, and the president said no. We're not going to be able to split the money up enough where we're all making a good amount if we were to add those 2 schools. So what do? You make the new ACC with 7 teams?
Yeah, I don't know. Unless they have some kind of backdoor deal with teams from the Big 12. But super conference, combine the ACC and Big 12. I don't know. 7 best.
We should have Washington and Oregon. That's what we should do. We should surprise everybody.
I mean, that's not unfeasible.
Yeah.
After we've seen go off the past couple of months here.
Yeah. The one thing I says, I've been thinking about this. The 2 schools that are definitely going to get the worst end of this are probably Syracuse and Boston College. So you got to think that no current Power 5 conference is going to want them. They're probably going to have to move to the American or the MAC.
Wait, I did just kind of realize from my Civil War reference earlier that it literally is all the teams in the South that are leaving. They're literally seceding from the ACC.
Is Georgia Tech Fort Sumter? The last line of defense.
Gettysburg College has stock is through the roof right now.
So if those are the 7, it would be what? It's us, Syracuse, Boston College, Louisville, Georgia Tech. Who else isn't leaving?
Yeah, Louisville's the only one that doesn't really fit into that mold there.
Did I say Duke? It's Wake Forest and Duke, I think, are the other 2. I'm probably missing one, but it's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're the Union, baby. Keep the ACC divided, cannot stand.
I like that. So, I don't know what you guys think, but I think that the conference will eventually be taken apart when this gets farther down the line. I'm thinking, honestly, like, you got to think probably 10 years down the line. Like, this is going to be in every offseason story of, like, will they, won't they? Will they, won't they? Because everyone's so used to, like, Texas and Oklahoma jumping, and they jumped when they had 1 or 2 years left on their current deal. And Texas and Oklahoma each had to pay $100 million to leave the Big 12 early. So, like, Virginia and Virginia Tech don't have that kind of sports money to do that. So, thinking far down the line, if the conference does dissolve, they can't figure this out, what conference do you guys want to go to? I'll open it up. See, personally, I'm a Big 12 guy. You bring together, like, us, Cincinnati, West Virginia. Maybe they take, like, Virginia Tech and NC State. That's, like, a little solid bubble. You have UCF still for Florida recruiting. And then, like, you have, like, footholds now in Texas recruiting, all those other places.
That one probably makes the most sense. I mean, that's Big East Junior, kind of. That one probably makes the most sense, and probably would be best case scenario. Honestly, the way it's looking, because I also feel like there's the possibility Pitt kind of becomes the Big East now, like of the teams that are kind of in it now, which would be cool for basketball, I guess, but not really cool for football.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to get left behind. That's the scary part. I'm not going to think about.
That's the biggest thing I'm scared of is getting relegated to
the American.
Yeah, UConn territory.
Yeah, that would be bad.
I mean, the thing is, would you guys want to join the Big Ten? Because my personal opinion is no. Like, it's not a conference you're going to win. It's not a conference you're going to compete in. I'm not for that.
I'd rather go play in the Big 12 where we could compete than be
5th best team in the Eastern Big Ten.
Yeah,
on the average year.
Yeah.
Maybe 4th. Sorry, Michigan State sucks.
Yeah, it would be cool to play a lot of those schools, though. You probably get pretty good chance to get Penn State more.
If we were in the Big Ten, they'd make us play Penn State every year. They would upset Penn State fans by making us play every year, and they would have nothing they could say about it.
I'd love to be the Penn State Killers.
Yeah, that would be great.
Other than that, having to play Ohio State and Michigan every other year would kind of suck.
Yeah, that's where things get hairy. And I mean, USC too would not be fun most years.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. I basically have nothing else to say on it. I think it's sort of a showboating thing. Maybe they can get more money out of it. Maybe ESPN decides to keep the conference together. But as of right now, I think it's just going to be an ongoing story of, like, will they or won't they? They're not going to. They're not paying $120 million, then losing however many million over the next 14 years.
Yeah. Fuck it. If we're not wanted, we'll go join the Mountain West.
Yeah, we're in the western mountains of Pennsylvania. It makes sense.
Appalachia, baby. Mountains, Appalachian to Rockies.
All right. All right, let's move on to more Pitt-specific news. So we'll start with the latest in Pitt football recruiting. Pitt football got a transfer from the same city. They got a transferred linebacker from Duquesne, Todd Hill, who's a local Pittsburgh guy. And I learned this today, but last year he tore his pec in week 3, and then in 6 more games after tearing his pec, he recorded 38 tackles, 25 of which were solo, and then 12 and a half tackles for loss and 5 sacks.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, and we love a hometown kid. Putting his time in at Duquesne and then proving his worth.
So I'm looking up. He played high school football with Nakai Johnson, one of the guys on the D line. The one thing that's gonna definitely screw me up week 1 is if he still wears 9, because he's like a edge linebacker hybrid from what I've seen. And if you have number 9 Hill lined up at like D end, and you're like, what the fuck? Brandon Hill's on the Texans now.
Yeah. That's just we got a couple new packages in where we're putting safeties up on the line of scrimmage to edge rush.
I would not put that past Pat Narduzzi. He would definitely do that.
Blitz boy. He's like Jamal Adams.
Blitz boy. What a guy. Oh, God.
Todd Hill, also find me a shorter name. 8 letters. Hey.
8 letters. Ace Hill, 7.
Okay.
Oh, Bo Nix, that's 5.
Is that his legal name? From the South, it probably is Bo Nix.
I'm going to go to Wikipedia. Let's see. Yeah, no, there's no other given name on the Bo Nix Wikipedia page, so that's just 5 letters. I don't know if you can do any better than that.
Wow. The Bo Nix Short Name Award.
I'd like to congratulate Todd Hill for the inaugural Bo Nix Short Name Award. Other finalists included Bo Nix.
Yeah, Bo Nix didn't win his own award.
Yeah. That makes sense. You got anything else on football before we move to basketball?
Let's talk hoops.
Let's talk hoops. You want to start with the new commit we got today?
Yeah.
Okay, so today Pitt flipped 4-star recruit Papa Conte, a 6'10", 4-star forward out of the New York area. He might be from Connecticut, but that brings our scholarship total up to 1 remaining, and sort of solves the lack of big man depth on the roster.
Yeah,
without having to use the portal, right?
Yeah, no.
Definitely gives us more flexibility there. I don't think he's a true. He's got the height. He's also he's got the same problem as the Twins. He's not as lanky as them. Probably closer to a Federico type, but yeah, it gives us some depth in the front court. So that was kind of exactly what we needed in Capel with a bang.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a solid pickup. I came out of nowhere. I think, yeah, you tweeted that from the pod account, but solid pickup for Capel. Pretty much exactly what else we were looking for. So kind of completes this team in a way. I don't know if we were to add another piece where I would pick and choose, but that was for sure like the biggest need. So we checked that box off, and I'm excited again for next year.
We kind of turned in from like a small team to, given some of the transfers that we've had and like the time the Twins are probably going to get this year, to like a decent, like I don't know if I'll say big, but a long team.
Yeah, you put together the Twins, Fede, Conte, Zach Austin. Like that's
Exactly. Yeah.
pretty big front court. Also, Conte is the number 87 player in the country per for rivals, and that puts Pitt's recruiting class for this upcoming class in the top 25. At 22.
Love it, dude. Crazy what making a little. I mean, I know it wasn't a crazy run, but tournament games,
good.
Yeah, tournament games they sell. They sell. I spent like flipping a guy from Michigan too. Like that's
It's weird. I don't know if it was a flip because I think he decommitted a month ago because they've had some fucking issues over at Michigan, right? You've had Caleb Love decommit. I believe I think he actually couldn't get in based on grades or something like that. So that's sort of falling apart. Their coach is Juwan Howard, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that team seems to be falling apart. They lost early in the NIT. They're like Batman villain superstar transferred somewhere else as well. I think the last piece we need, going back to what you said, Kent, is probably another shooter to complement Hinson because you have to think about how we lost Elliott, Sabandi, and Cummings all this year. So you need someone else to be able to give you that 3-point pop. I think that's the only real piece that we're missing because we had – I mean, I don't know if he's going to change his offense again, but if he's going to sort of keep it somewhat consistent, you need another shooter besides Hinson. I mean, the Twins are good for a couple threes a game, but they're not shooters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you go ahead, Kent?
I kind of hope the freshmen coming in provide a little bit of that. I know. I think I don't want to butcher his name.
Papa
Carrington. I believe he's a pretty good shooter. Can't remember his first name. I'm blanking. Somebody help me out. Carlton. Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully he can provide some shooting off the bench, and then who else? It's been a minute since we talked basketball.
You've probably got Dior. I mean, you're thinking that Dior can give you some sort of shooting ability off the bench, but you're right. I mean, you would want to see sort of the same stuff you saw from the Diaz Grahams last year as far as freshmen go, but I think also it doesn't hurt to add a veteran shooter because it seems like now every team in college basketball needs that veteran shooter.
When you look at the teams that go deep in the tournament, it's the guys that have experience, especially at the shooting guard / point guard position. So, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, I certainly don't disagree. I would not mind a veteran shooter. Just in terms of what we already do have, kind of where I was going.
Right. It's a balancing act between you want the young guys to play, but you also you got to think about what could help you win the most now, right?
Yeah.
Maybe these freshmen are going to be really good, but they're not going to be like superstars or consistent at shooting. So it is up to Capel to balance how much development they get, how much they're going to develop their shooting and everything, or getting a transfer guy you can plug and play early while these guys develop. And it also balances playing time and all that stuff. I think it's an interesting problem to have with the recruiting class coming in that we have, if that makes sense. It's a good problem to have, actually.
Yeah, I mean, now that Capel kind of was on the hot seat, then turned the temperature way down. What would we need to see this year though to keep that seat cool? What's the bottom line? What's the baseline? Based off what he's done this offseason too. Because I feel like he's still moving in the right direction.
Okay, two things. I think is another March Madness berth too much to say? That's where I get squirrely. I mean, listen, I think he has bought himself into what would it be 2025 regardless. Like, I don't think he's on the hot seat at all this year, even if they make like the NIT. I think what you want to see is a tournament berth, the Diaz Grahams like unlocking their potential, and see, I don't know how you can.
It's tough to even say like improvement in the ACC because
we were fifth?
Yeah, and I mean like by a couple games and by a shot at Miami. So it's not even like you can say, oh, like to have more success in the ACC because Duke's going to return like a really strong team. Like it's not getting all that. It's not getting all that worse. So I don't know. I feel like he might get some more criticism if things bounce back. But
I think. Like I don't know, I don't mean to like insult anyone, but like if you're looking at Capel and like maybe they take a step back next year, which is possible because they lose so much shooting presence on the outside, like you have to look at other things and also like the ACC as far as all the transfer classes got, as far as like you said, Duke's training a lot, UNC is still fucking UNC, like they're going to be a really good conference coming back. Fucking Miami just made a Final Four, so if they take a slight step back. Like it's not going to jeopardize his job. I do think that the most important things to keeping his seat cool would be another berth, and I think seeing young players develop, which is really only Fede and the Twins right now. Because maybe Dior, because we also don't know what he would have looked like, but if he's a redshirt freshman, he should have been getting some practice. So it's actually maybe the number one thing should be how does Dior look next season with the whole season with the team.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb. You might have to come back and delete this audio later. I'm not going to criticize Capel next year for long-term stuff. I'll criticize him during the game, make that adjustment, but I think you're right. I think he gets a pass this year.
Okay, so you're withholding yourself on criticism from overarching things. In game, still fair game.
Yeah.
Okay, let me set a reminder on my phone.
I think it really depends. I think it has to be close to avoid a lot of criticism. If they just don't look good, they look like they're not really running an offense. Like I don't know. It just looks like they're not making any in-game adjustments all year long. They're making the same mistakes. And they're worse. I think that's when those conversations pick up more quickly again.
Yeah.
If they're playing hard, they seem like they're coached well, like they're making adjustments and, playing maybe like if they lose a bunch of close games, like it's, I don't think a step back's necessarily cause for, hot seat conversations again, especially after the year they just had. But, I think they return enough pieces and seem to have enough good pieces coming in to have pretty high expectations again this year.
The expectations, the dreaded expectations. Haven't had those for Pitt ball in a while, so it's cool. It's cool to be back to this.
Yeah.
Speaking of Pitt basketball, did you guys see that Pitt alumni team that they have in the TBT basketball tournament?
Yeah.
Or is that the right tournament? Or am I? It's TBT, right?
It's TBT, yeah. The tournament.
Yeah. Just a bunch of Pitt guys. Couple of the recent grads hopping on there too. So I don't even know if I'm gonna get that on TV. I'm sure maybe like sometime they play them like in the dead of summer, right? So we'll have to see if we can get some airtime for our boys.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know where it's aired. I think it's an ESPN thing. I want to say it's an ESPN thing. But so Pitt is playing in the Wheeling, West Virginia regional, which is nice. It's a local. But I'll give you the roster real quick. Gary McGahee, Gilbert Brown, Mahamadou Guy, Jamel Artis, Ryan Luther, Nelly Cummings, Nike Sabandi, Greg Elliott, and Mike Young. So that's three guys who were just playing ball last year. Ryan Luther, who was the only bright spot, one of the worst Pitt teams I've ever seen.
Ryan Luther was a blast from the past, dude. That was
This is an all-time name a guy team, which fucking rocks.
Ryan Luther made me I double taked at that one. I was like, oh my goodness. But,
they're coached by Kevin Stallings.
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who's the coach? Or they just coaching themselves? I don't really know.
I don't know how that works.
It says Gilbert Brown's the GM, but I don't know if there's an official coach. They didn't say anything. They didn't say anything about a coach. I haven't seen anything.
I could see like Jason Capel coaching that team or something.
That would be pretty cool.
Nah, he's got to be on the recruiting trail, man.
That's true.
Actually, yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
No, he's got bigger priorities.
Aiden Fish will be the head coach.
Aiden Fish as the head coach would be sick.
just because you know.
Mogi with Ryan Luther is not something I thought I would see.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like we're going to play West Virginia. I don't know who else is in that regional because the TBT tournament tweeted a backyard brawl football helmet graphic about Pitt getting back into the tournament, which wrong sport. Love the enthusiasm, but
maybe Huggins will be coaching that team since he can't coach his actual team.
You can say whatever you want, TBT.
It's on it's an ESPN hosted event. I just looked it up.
I was gonna say I feel like they made that pretty big, or maybe it's always been big. Who knows? But I know Zoo Crew hadn't had a team in a couple years at least, so they're back. I think I remember watching them Zoo Crew a few years ago. Yeah.
I think since 2020 they haven't had. So it's been about 3 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think COVID was already a thing, and they kind of had like a bubble. The tournament.
That was when we were just desperate. We were like, we just need a ball moving on the screen, please.
Yeah.
Give me
spring training in June.
I'm tired of watching cooking tutorials in Tiger King. Give me a ball.
I'm desperately trying to figure out what teams are playing. I cannot figure this out. Okay, well, anyway, I was able to find out. So the West Virginia Regional, which is 7 games, which would mean I don't know how many teams that would make. I think 4 or maybe 8. Probably 8 teams. It starts July 25th and it ends July 29th, and then they move on to the quarterfinals. I believe the championship is in Philly. So
baby.
I'd go to that if we make it.
I was going to say, if we make it, we're going.
Yeah. No shot we don't.
Did they play that at Wells Fargo? We got you fact checking left and right, Zach.
It just says Philadelphia. I have no idea.
It's probably
it's just
it's at the convention center or something.
That would be fucking hilarious.
Dude, it's gotta say it somewhere. All right, you guys keep talking. I'm gonna
all right, get on it, Ken.
Jamie, pull that up.
I don't know if I have anything else to say on the basketball tournament. Do you want to talk real quick about the ACC slate? They released that, I believe, last week. I'm losing track of time here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a bit of a gauntlet.
I mean, it's a gauntlet, but it's a doable gauntlet. So we'll go over it real quick. So the home and away opponents are, which means we'll play them twice in the year, Louisville, Syracuse, Clemson, Duke, NC State, and Wake Forest. The teams we only play at home once are Florida State, UNC, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech. The teams who only play away one time are Boston College, Georgia Tech, Miami, and Virginia. I've got a couple takeaways. I'll let you start, Mason.
Cool thing is playing Miami and Virginia away will be automatic quad one games, you would think.
Yeah.
So they're plus would be cool to. I want revenge for Miami, and I think we could beat Virginia again. So two from the away game side of things, two ones that could look really good on the resume in Miami and Virginia.
Yeah, Miami is definitely the hardest away game. I mean, they're a Final Four team. Virginia, I mean, people forget that between losing to two double-digit seeds, they had a national title in there, which seems like one of the flukiest titles of all time. It is really.
Speaking of the bubble, wasn't that the bubble title?
I think no, they canceled the tournament that year. Might have been the year after.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. The home schedule I think is super favorable because one, you don't got to play in like the dark magic bounce house that Virginia Tech has. You get UNC at home, which is super important to not play in Chapel Hill. I mean, I guess not because Capel's undefeated there, but
Capel Hill, you mean? Yeah.
Capel Hill. Florida State, always good to get at home. And then as far as the double-up opponents, I mean, it's not too bad. Clemson, you got to figure out a way to beat Clemson. You got to figure out a way to split with Duke, I think. I think those are probably the two most important. Syracuse has a new coach. Louisville still stinks. NC State is meh. And Wake Forest, you never know because they're so transfer-heavy.
Yeah. Splitting with Duke would be ideal.
Huge.
Yeah.
Probably not going to split with Duke.
Yeah, we'll see. You never know, man. You never know.
I think actually, I'll take what I said. Probably the most important is at least to split with Clemson. You don't want to go 0-2 against Clemson. You got to figure out a way to beat Clemson because for some reason they have our number in basketball.
They really do.
Kent, did you figure out where the basketball tournament is being held?
No, but if I had to guess, I would say it's Wells Fargo because it's sponsored by the NBA Players Association. So,
Convention Center it is.
All right, we need the Panthers to bring a title to Philly, man. Sixers can't fucking do it.
We're gonna bring it to Philly, then immediately take it away.
You can apply for it.
I'm counting that as a championship for the city of Philadelphia if they make it.
Yeah, because Pittsburgh is considered just outside of Philly.
That's right.
That's right. Kent, do you have anything on the ACC schedule, or are you still just trying to figure this out?
Dude, I'm determined to find this answer.
Ken is in a rabbit hole. We may never get him back.
All right, we'll move on to our last item of the night. Quick shout out to Pitt Baseball because they made the ACC tourney for the third year in a row, and I believe before this 3-year stretch, yes, everybody clap it up. Everyone clap it up at home. We're not going to clap it up. I believe they had made it once before this. They did sneak in. They are the 12 seed. So low expectations after making out of pools last year because we don't get a very favorable pool poll. So our pool, Pool A, is number 1 Wake Forest, who went 45-9 this year, and then 8th seeded Notre Dame, who went 30-22, and then Pitt, who went 23-30. Pitt always seems to win one weirdo game in the ACC tournament for God knows what reason. I mean, I think a month ago we actually beat Wake Forest, but then we got clobbered the next day.
Dude, it's college baseball. It's not supposed to make sense. Why not us?
I mean, honestly, I'm expecting them to upset Wake Forest based on what they do every year in the ACC tournament, which is win one game they're not supposed to, and then lose in the semis or whatever.
I'm assuming we have to win the ACC. Like we're automatic bid team, right? Or I'm sorry, or at large team at this point, right?
No. Going 23-30 will not get you an at-large bid in the college baseball World Series or whatever it's called. College Series.
Basically, what I'm saying is we have to win the ACC tournament to get in at this point.
Yes, correct.
I said that backwards in my head. Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was surprised they didn't get one last year because they're actually a pretty decent team. This year, they just don't have pitching. They just get blown up all the time. For anyone who wants to watch, all the games are on ACC Network. We play Wednesday, when this will be coming out, today at 11 a.m. against Notre Dame, then Thursday at 11 a.m. against Wake Forest. So
they're playing lunch break. An 11 a.m. game baseball?
It's 11, 3, and 7 because you got to get through 12 games in 4 days. 12 games in 4 days for pools. And the semis are on – it actually doesn't say what day it is, but you have the 2 semis at 1 and 5, I'm assuming on Saturday, and the championship game at noon on Sunday.
All right. Let's go shock the world.
Let's go shock the world and the conference. Excuse me. I don't know. If they win one game, I'll be proud because this has been a very up and down year for Pitt Baseball.
Okay. I double that.
All right. We'll be double proud. Anything else? I've run out of things on the agenda. I don't know if I forgot anything.
I did see a good old-fashioned Narduzzi quote today, chirping Dion a little bit. Did you see that?
Pull that up. Should I pull that up?
Yeah. I don't have the exact tweet, but he was basically just like, with all the transfers and stuff, and him just completely rebuilding the thing, he was kind of like, it basically shouldn't be like that.
All right, I just pulled it up here. So he was talking to 247 Sports at the ACC spring meetings, which I think happened this weekend or last weekend. Quote, "That's not the way it's meant to be. That's not the rule. That's not what the rule intended to be. It was not to overhaul your roster. We'll see how it works out, but that, to me, looks bad on college football coaches across the country. The reflection is on one guy right now. When you look at it overall, those kids that have moms and dads and brothers and sisters and goals in life, I don't know how many of those 70 that really wanted to leave or were kicked in the butt to get out." So what he's saying is, yeah, it's a bad look for Dion to kick out. I don't even know if we talked about this, Dion kicking out all his players. Basically, the huge roster overhaul that Colorado had this offseason. Did we even talk about this? I don't even know.
I feel like we had to at some point.
I think we talked about it off the pod.
It's been one of the biggest stories in off-season football. So I think it's just general knowledge, but yeah, he's got. What do you say? I'm bringing luggage and it's Louis.
It's Louis.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I mean, Narduzzi, I guess, is not rocking with that Louis bag.
Dude.
I think I'm like 2 minds about this. One, obviously, Pat Narduzzi cannot help himself from looking like a dickhead in the media or just being overall like just making a headline in the offseason, which, sure, that's my coach. I'll support him wherever he does. But when I think about it, Narduzzi runs a developmental program, which he wants to keep these kids around, right? But the thing is, all right, there's 2 things. If you run a top-level program, if players aren't panning out, you kind of do have to process them off your roster. That's why you have kids who are stuck on the depth chart moving out of top-tier schools. So it's a part of college football for sure, but at the same time, when you're doing that on such a massive level at your first year, at a program that went 1-11, and then you're also losing transfers who came into your program with you. Like, he's lost some guys who transferred in the spring, then transferred out in the same spring. He even lost one of the guys that came to Colorado from Jackson State with him. So it's a very weird situation. I don't know. I don't think it's going to work out in year one. Like, they're going to probably be bad. Utah's probably going to break their soul at some point in November, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know last year we talked about USC a lot before the season, and we were skeptical about how well that was going to work first year, and it turned out pretty well for them. So I guess it just depends on what your expectations are. I guess where you're setting the bar.
I think USC's got a little bit better of a coach than Dion is.
Better talent base too. I mean, you're not taking over a 1-11 program; you're taking over USC for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
True.
But yeah, you're right, Kat. We were very skeptical of it. None of us picked. Did any of us pick them to win the conference? Oh, so funny you brought that back up.
I had Utah.
Yeah, but no, I mean, yeah, it feels like one of those things that probably going to take a year or two. And is it scummy? I don't really think so. Those kids will go and get an education somewhere else. But
well, okay, so I just read a little bit more. The rule he's actually questioning is not like the transfer portal or anything. It's a rule that allows first-year coaches to remove players from the roster as long as they remain on scholarship, which allows first-year coaches to cut players.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know. I literally just scrolled down.
So basically, there's going to be probably 30-ish probably players that are on scholarship for Colorado that just aren't playing ball. Or they transfer and get a scholarship somewhere else.
See, my thing is, those players who went to Colorado are not going to be scholarship-level players at a lot of other schools. Like, they could either basically transfer to FCS or go, actually, I'm good. I'm just going to stay on scholarship at Colorado for a couple of years.
Yeah, like, if you're one of those guys that maybe you were, like, freshmen on scholarship, like, weren't really loving football anymore, Boulder wouldn't be the worst place to just stay on scholarship.
No, not at all. You got the all-inclusive meal plan, all that shit. You got it made.
Yeah. You live like a king.
In Boulder? Oh, my God.
But yeah, Narduzzi making headlines. Dude's going to Duzz.
I think he also had another quote about I think he was still complaining about the transfer portal like a couple weeks ago, but I forget what it was. I think he's like, yeah, everyone's tampering, everyone knows it, and I actually got calls that were people telling me, thanks for speaking up, which that's usually a sign that you have to you didn't get any calls about it, you just want to bring it up again. But that one didn't stick, but this one I guess is sticking, so good for that one, that it didn't stick.
Breaking news on the pod, Nike Sabandi is a dad.
Wow.
Congratulations, Nike.
He tweeted 20 minutes ago, my son just entered the world. Greatness just appeared on this earth.
Is that the first ever breaking news we have on the pod?
I think so.
The first, relevant news.
Yeah. Zach, you better chop this one up quick. Get it out.
You know what, Nike Sabandi, congrats on the sex, and we'll see you next time. I've been your host, Zach Kaminsky. I've been joined by my co-hosts, Mason Kling and Kent Vanderwood, unless there's anything left to say in the pod.
Adam Schefter's on the hot seat because we're breaking news now. That's all.
Bingo. All right. If you like the podcast, please follow us on Twitter at Simplify Pod. You can follow your co-host there. Our ats are linked in the bio. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Hail to Pitt.
I think the basketball tournament final is going to be at Lake St. Joe's. Bye.
Oh, God.